Your toddler is on the floor screaming. You're exhausted, and you're about to make a choice that will either escalate this or end it. But the biggest mistake many parents have in this moment is you are resolving the wrong problem. You think your child is being defiant, so you set a boundary, and they get worse. But what if the screaming, the thrashing, the inconsolable crying isn't a tantrum at all? What if it is an anxiety meltdown? In the next several minutes, you will know how to tell those two things apart and have a chance to choose correct response in future similar episodes. And it changes everything. Let's go.
Picture this. Your 3-year-old wants the blue cup. You give them the blue cup. They lose it, screaming, thrashing. You assume they're testing you, so you hold your boundary. They get worse. This is where many parents get stuck. But what's actually happening? Your child might not be throwing a tantrum at all. They might be having an anxiety meltdown. And if that's the case, your boundary may be making things worse. Let's define the difference, because it changes everything. A tantrum is behavioral and goal-driven. Your child wants something, the blue cup, a toy, more time at the park, and when they don't get it, they escalate to get your attention and change your mind. There's a purpose behind the behavior. A meltdown is completely different. It happens when your child's nervous system is overwhelmed beyond its ability to cope. It's not about getting something. It's about losing control. During a meltdown, your child is scared, dysregulated, and unable to think their way out of it. They're not trying to manipulate you. They're trying to survive what feels like a threat.
Why does this distinction matter? It comes down to brain development. According to the Harvard Center on the Developing Child, during a tantrum, your toddler's prefrontal cortex, the thinking and reasoning part of the brain, is still online. During a meltdown, the amygdala takes over. As the brain's threat detection system, it effectively shuts down access to reasoning and language. Your child is in survival mode. Research shows that connections between the prefrontal cortex and amygdala remain immature throughout childhood and don't fully mature until adolescence. In other words, your toddler is still building the wiring needed to regulate big emotions. Here's the critical part. Anxious toddlers tend to have a more reactive amygdala. Their threat detection system is more sensitive. In his landmark 1989 study on temperament, developmental psychologist Jerome Kagan found that about 10% of infants are born with a high reactive temperament, characterized by greater sensitivity to novelty and stronger physiological stress responses. These children experience more meltdowns than tantrums because their nervous system detects threat more readily. This isn't a behavior problem, it's neurobiology.
So, how do you tell them apart in real time? During a tantrum, your child maintains some control. They cry, but they're aware of you. They watch your reaction. If you leave the room, they often follow. They're negotiating. They will pause if something interesting happens. During a meltdown, your child isn't watching you or negotiating. They're often inconsolable. They may not respond to comfort, or comfort can make things worse because touch feels overwhelming when their nervous system is flooded. They might say, "I can't," "I'm scared," or "I don't know why." They're not being dramatic. They're genuinely dysregulated. Another key marker is redirection. Offer a tantruming child a different toy, and they might take it. Offer a melting down child a different toy, and they often can't access that option. Their nervous system is locked in. This distinction changes everything about how you respond. If you treat a meltdown like a tantrum, using discipline, boundaries, or reasoning, you're asking a dysregulated nervous system to regulate itself. It can't. Your child ends up feeling more scared, overwhelmed, and disconnected from you. But here's what matters. Once you understand this, the story changes. Your child isn't defiant, and you're not failing. You're both working with a more reactive nervous system. That's neurobiology, not a character flaw. Many anxious toddlers, especially those with separation anxiety, social anxiety, or chronic worry, experience more meltdowns because their threat detection system is more sensitive.
So, what do you actually do? If it's a tantrum, you can set a boundary with kindness. Stay calm and keep your language simple. I know you wanted the blue cup. I gave you the blue cup. You're upset. I'm here. You're not giving in, but you're not escalating. Some children need a quiet space to cool down. Others need to cry it out while you're nearby. The key is consistency. Tantrums test limits, so predictable responses teach your child that escalation doesn't change the outcome. That's how they learn disappointment is survivable. If it's a meltdown, your job is entirely different. You're not enforcing a boundary, you're regulating a nervous system. First, create safety. Lower your voice and reduce stimulation. Some children need space, others need gentle proximity. You're communicating. Your body is overwhelmed. I'm here. You're safe. Then wait. Don't reason. Don't say, calm down. Instead, say, I see you're having big feelings. I'm right here. Once they're more regulated, 10 or 20 minutes later, you can gently name what happened. Your nervous system got really activated. That happens sometimes. You're teaching that dysregulation is normal and manageable. Over time, consistent co-regulation, where your calm helps settle theirs, makes their nervous system less reactive. Research from 0 to 3 shows that responsive support during dysregulation strengthens emotional regulation and lowers baseline cortisol. This is how secure attachment works. You're literally helping rewire your child's threat detection system.
Now, when should you worry? According to the National Institute of Mental Health's Early Childhood Anxiety Guidelines, talk to your pediatrician if meltdowns happen multiple times a day across different settings, if your child has persistent fears that interfere with daily life, or if they struggle to recover, even with your support. Anxiety disorders in toddlers are real, and they're treatable. Early intervention helps. But most toddlers who have more meltdowns than tantrums aren't disordered. They're simply more sensitive. And that's okay. Some of the most empathetic, resilient adults were anxious kids.
The shift from, my child is defiant, to, my child is dysregulated, changes everything. It changes how you parent and how your child sees themselves. When you meet meltdowns with regulation instead of discipline, you're helping your child's brain rewire. You're teaching their amygdala that they're safe and building their capacity to handle big feelings. That's the real win. So the next time your toddler falls apart, pause, observe, ask, is this a tantrum or a meltdown? Then respond accordingly. Your child will feel the difference. And so will you.